Alright, welcome back to Blake's Takes, everyone, and today we're going to be doing a movie review on the new movie that just came out August 6th in theaters and on HBO Max, The Suicide Squad, the James Gunn sequel to the first Suicide Squad that came out in 2016, as we all know was an absolute bomb. Failure. So, this film was directed and written by James Gunn. Shortly after Disney had dropped James Gunn from directing the third Guardians of the Galaxy, DC quickly nabbed him up and wanted him to actually direct a Superman film. He didn't want to direct it, so DC said, okay, pick any script you like, any adaptation, and you get that film. Do whatever you want with it. So he ultimately picked the Suicide Squad to work with, as he commented that he was jealous of David Ayer working on the first Suicide Squad back in 2016. And this film is definitely unapologetically James Gunn. So I actually got to watch this film twice before recording this, once on Sunday night and another time on Monday night. And believe it or not, I actually think I grew to like it even more the second watch. Just a heads up though, if you have not seen this film, I will be doing spoilers. So when DC decides to embrace its dark humor, its gruesomeness, it can make some really good stuff. As we all know, DC is known for having really great animated movies, really great animated TV shows. One recent show that I think is absolutely amazing is the Harley Quinn animated show that is on HBO Max as well. And it's been going on, it's got 2 seasons now. It really embraces the dark humor and the gruesomeness, one of the more gruesome animated shows I've seen, but it's absolutely amazing. Come to that, we have Birds of Prey that came out last year, that was also a rated R DC film, and really enjoyed that film as well. I thought that was very fun. And also, even though it's not really as gruesome, but it does have a dark tone to it, the Snyder cut of Justice League, even though it's not as dark as other DC shows or films, you know, it still has a dark tone to it, and is definitely darker than the original Justice League, Joss Whedon's Justice League back in 2017. Terrible film. So immediately from the start with this film, I had a major Deadpool 2 vibe. I don't know what it is, if it's having a Marvel director come over to the DC universe, but I had like a lot of inside Marvel jokes in this film. Right from the beginning, they did exactly what Deadpool 2 did and introduced this cast of what we think is the Suicide Squad. You know, we have Pete Davidson's Blackguard, we have Captain Boomerang, Weasel, we have Javelin, and we have Michael Rooker as Brian Durlin, or Savant. And they get this group together to go on this mission, you know, hyping everything up, and then they immediately kill all of them off, because that is not the characters that we're going to be focusing on this film. And it reminded me right in the beginning just from Deadpool 2, when they did that with their X-Force group. You know, they had all these new characters and these tryouts, and they even had them on posters and everything, and they just killed all of them off in the most hilarious ways. And that's exactly what they did in this film. And the only guy I was sad that they killed off was Captain Boomerang, because the 2016 Suicide Squad did not do him any justice, and he started off great in this film. I was really liking his character, and then they killed him off. But that's okay, because the real Suicide Squad that we get is filled of amazing characters. Idris Elba, probably the best part of this whole film in my opinion. I haven't really seen him in anything too much lately, but he was absolutely amazing. His acting was amazing in it. He was also really funny. A lot of these characters are really funny, as this whole film, you know, it's a James Gunn film. You know it's gonna have more fun editing to it, the shots, the colors, everything about a James Gunn film is just going to be more bold and in your face and colorful, and I loved it. So yes, as we know, Idris Elba plays Bloodsport, and John Cena as Peacemaker. He was funny as hell. I did not know John Cena could be that funny in a film. Now, I know he's a funny guy from the WWE, because the WWE, that does not take no skills. You have to act for that. And his character was actually really funny. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, she always does a great job as her. as we've seen over the years. We have Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher, and we have Sylvester Stallone as King Shark. And I wasn't sure how I felt at first of the King Shark in this film, only because of the King Shark from the Harley Quinn show is absolutely hilarious, and he's probably my favorite character in the whole Harley Quinn show. So that's what I was kind of hoping for in the Suicide Squad. But after watching the film 2 times, I really enjoyed Sylvester Stallone's portrayal as King Shark. It's not a cute character, but it is cute at the same time. And he was funny, he was adorable, and you really grew to just love this character of King Shark. And as we know, Joel Kinnaman comes back as Rick Flag. Viola Davis comes back as Amanda Waller, which she's a bitch. I don't like her. That means she did a good job if I don't like her. So I found it funny how like DC is kind of nabbing all these people that worked in the MCU to come do their DC films. Maybe that's just what DC needs to do to make their films great, is just grab a bunch of Marvel people. I mean, James Gunn has been very successful with the Guardians of Galaxy films. You know, Idris Elba playing Heimdall in the Thor movies. I know it's not a huge character, but he had a good amount of screen time in Thor Ragnarok. And hey, he got Hulk to Earth when Thanos was kicking their asses. You had Sylvester Stallone come over as well. He was only in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but you know, it might have been anticipated that that character could get a spin-off of something. But he came over as well from Marvel. And a very small scene in this film as well, but with Taika Waititi, who plays Ratcatcher's dad. And I was like, where are all these Marvel? Oh, I can't forget, and Michael Rooker too, who plays Yondu in Guardians 2, comes over as well. So basically this film is just a feature of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but a DC version of it. And then one more thing with Marvel and DC in this film was the place that this Project Starfish was being held. You know, the ultimate goal of this mission, where they have to destroy the information held inside of this place called Jotunheim. And as we all know, Jotunheim is a planet in the 9 realms where Loki is from, where the frost giants reside. And it was just so funny to see all these, you know, little Marvel jokes that I don't know if a lot of people will get, but I'm like, what is with all these Marvel references in DC film? It was almost like breaking the fourth wall without actually breaking it in the film. I thought it was funny. I loved how in the movie, you know how a lot of the Marvel movies, or you know, the Fast and Furious movies, they'll just plaster a big font of what city they're in, or what is happening in the film. In this, they use like the environment around them to, you know, lay out, you know, the city that they're in or the mission that they need to complete. And I thought it was really fun and really tied in with the theme of the film. And help me out here, I don't know if James Gunn was traumatized by birds when he was a kid, if he watched Alfred Hitchcock's film Birds when he was younger and was totally freaked out or something, but he killed a good amount of birds in this film, and that was kind of fucked up. But as we know, he'll make some fucked up films, because this shit, when I first watched it, I was like, what the fuck is going on with the deaths and the gruesomeness? Ugh. But you get used to it. You just don't expect it at first. And in the end, it's pretty hilarious. You know, they were creative with the deaths and everything. And the action was really good. I thought it had some fun action, you know, because when you make a superhero film, it's like, okay, what can we do that can make this different from all the other superhero films? You know, they can be pretty stagnant with how they create these films, and leave it to James Gunn to really make this whole thing different than previous superhero films that we've seen, and really just making it a fun time to watch. You know, you have a character that can control rats, and another character, you got 2 characters that do the same exact thing, and you have a character, let's not forget about Polka Dot Man. You have a character that throws polka dots at people, and he made it so fun. I was pissed they killed off Polka Dot Man. He was hilarious as a Polka Dot Man. The parts where he envisions his mom so that he can kill people easily was absolutely hilarious. And then not to mention another thing that makes this film different from other superhero films as well is the villain. Now, the villain that we see in the movie is Project Starfish, which is Starro the Conqueror, this big giant starfish that was floating in outer space and uses offsprings of himself to stick to humans' face to control their dead corpse. You know, they feed off their consciousness. And when have we ever seen a villain like that? And even though that's the villain of the film, the real villain in this film to me really is Amanda Waller. And in reality, what really was their mission was to destroy everything inside of Project Starfish, because the US was the ones that first started this project and was what really behind Project Starfish, and they wanted everything destroyed, all that evidence destroyed that would erase their involvement in it. And boy, oh boy, so they're the real bad guys in this in reality. Like I said, the characters are great. Idris Elba as Bloodsport was amazing, my favorite part of the film. And I also loved the banter going back and forth between Peacemaker and Bloodsport, Idris Elba and John Cena. They had a really good on-screen chemistry together as a little feud with each other. And my favorite part was when they were each showing off their lethalness with their skills. And Bloodsport is like, oh, no one likes to show off. And John Cena Peacemaker was like, unless what they're showing off is dope as fuck. And Bloodsport was like, fuck, it's true. We also get a heartfelt relationship between Bloodsport and Ratcatcher, as Ratcatcher reminds Bloodsport of his daughter. And I think in this film, you know, Idris Elba's character Bloodsport definitely has the best character arc. But what I think they're trying to do with Harley Quinn's character is give her the best character arc over time. You know, she's been in 3 films now as Harley Quinn, and we are starting to see that character arc in her. And she really could have a great character arc as she does in the Harley Quinn show. So I believe that's what DC is trying to do with her character, and I'm all here for it because I love Harley Quinn's character. I'm excited to see the spinoff that we're going to get for Peacemaker. As we know, they had announced he's going to be getting his own show, and I think it's going to set up a good storyline for his character. And I like how this is a sequel to the first Suicide Squad, but they never really acknowledge it. You know, the characters are like familiar with what's going on, like, okay, here we go on a mission for the Suicide Squad to knock my years off of prison. But I like how they just don't really acknowledge the first Suicide Squad, because it exists and we know it, and that's it. That's all we care about. I hope that James Gunn returns to make more DC films, because we really do need more DC films like this. Now, I'm not sure what they're going to do, and if they're still, you know, trying to create this cinematic universe, but keep having, you know, separate DC films as well that are completely off the storyline of what they're trying to do in the DCEU. So I'm not sure what they're going to do there, but I am glad that we are starting to get, you know, just dark and gruesome DC films that are also hilarious as well. So like I said, I highly recommend this. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it did everything it needed to do. I really enjoyed this film. I could see myself watching this film over again just because of how enjoyable it was. And this might be a film that you may need to see twice because the first time around, you know, there is a lot to learn. There are a lot of new characters. And if you're not familiar with the DC characters, it can be hard maybe to like keep up. But the second time around I watched it, it was a lot easier to follow as well. And like I said, I think I grew to like it even more the second time around. But I really enjoyed this film, a fun film, and I'm glad we're getting some good DC films in here. So that's my take on it. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, let me know what you thought of the Suicide Squad, and I'll catch you next time on Blake's Takes.